Okay, joining me now is Dr. Harold Hincht. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
Terrific. And you're from Port Dover, Ontario. We were just talking about some of the unique things about Dover, Ontario. Can you tell me a little bit about Port Dover?
Sure. So Port Dover is a lakeside community on the north shore of Lake Erie. It's about an hour south of Hamilton, an hour and a half from London, Ontario. It's in the Norfolk County. It's sort of Ontario's garden, so it's a lovely rural community that now has been transforming itself over the last few years, becoming a retirement haven for people moving from the big city, coming to a small town to get away from the hustle and bustle of Toronto, Oakville, London, Kitchener, that kind of thing.
And we were talking about the demographic that you get in your general practice, right, being in Port Dover, and sort of the linking of that with maybe a diagnosis of kidney disease or some of the high risk factors like diabetes.
So these days in general practice, a big part of our population are servicing the elderly. And we're seeing people are living longer, so we're seeing more patients over the age of 80, and they come with multiple comorbid diseases. And I mentioned earlier that a big portion of my practice that we're dealing with diabetes. It's an epidemic in North America. And as a result of that epidemic, we're seeing patients with multiple other issues related to their diabetes, kidney disease being one of them. So I'm seeing a huge jump in that part of in that part of the conditions that we're having to manage on a day-to-day basis.
You were talking about some statistics earlier. You were actually saying in your practice, around 300 patients, and 10% of them might be, diabetic or something along that line.
I figured that in my area, about 10% of my practice is diabetic, and so that accounts for probably between 350 to 400 patients, but they account for 25 to 30% of my daily workload. So it's time consuming. They're complex continuing care issues. They're on polypharmacy. So it's really internal medicine all day long.
Something that you said that struck me was that you're dealing with a lot of, I guess, even high-risk groups or people with chronic illnesses.
Right. So diabetes puts you, of course, at higher risk for cardiovascular disease. So our goal is to protect the heart, the brain, and the kidneys. If we can prevent heart attacks, strokes, and end-stage renal disease, that's sort of my primary goal as a physician who's looking after these patients. So identifying our diabetics early and then treating them accordingly so that they don't have end-stage complications, which reduces their quality of life, costs the medical system a lot more to have someone on dialysis. And I mean, that's often the end stage of kidney disease is dialysis, and that's not a pleasant life for anyone. I can't imagine doing that,
Is it your first time? Are you enjoying yourself during the conference?
I've been to this conference now. This is my fourth year, and it's a fantastic family practice update conference. I think it's probably in my opinion, it's probably one of the best run ones in North America. So I know Vancouver. I ski at Whistler. I've been here many times. It's a lovely city. So it's a great venue for a great conference like that. And I think the attendance speaks volumes to that, and St. Paul's has been very, very successful with this program.
Well, I know they're glad to have you here, and thanks for joining us on Plugged In. Very much appreciated.